Good morning, everybody. Toast to you and all you do. The lighting is so funny inside. Anyways, we are here today for our introspective journey. It is day 30, so we are well past halfway. And if this is your first day joining us, that's amazing. Thank you for being here. And if you have watched some of them or not all of them, also that's awesome. If you've watched every single one, I hope that it has really helped you to see yourself better, to see yourself in a different light, to help you make better goals. If there is something specific that you feel like you need to do, like think more about, do more reflection on, you can always look through all of them and the ones from previous years and see if there's a question that really resonates with you. And really the important thing is just that you spend this time to think about yourself and where you are in your life and, reflect on your feelings, your goals, your ideal self, your self-talk. There's just all of those different kind of things. So imagine that's going to be really bright. Is that a little better? Maybe. Let's see. Oh, hey, that's a little better. That is just, it's not even a white refrigerator. Like, that's so weird. Okay. I feel like there is this divine light behind me. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe that'd be amazing. They're always with me. So today's question, day 30 for our introspective journey is, do you take the recommendations of others, and why or why not? As with all of the questions, I feel like there is no yes or no. I think some people will be more towards one direction than the other. You might find that it fluctuates. For me, my mood, the situation, the person I'm talking to, all of those kind of things influence me. And often I have to remind myself to be humble, to step back, to remind myself that all experiences are valuable. And take a breath and really listen to it with that perspective so that I can then actually hear them and take that information in. Because we all have those moments where we're like, I already know the answer to this. I don't really need to hear you. And normally it's those situations that we actually need to hear people the most. It's important to always hear that opposite perspective, that difference. When we meet people who are, they listen to everybody else's influence. We often call them flighty. We're like, oh, they're all over the place. They just are constantly doing different things. And that can be, flighty, I feel like is the best word to describe that, because you're just kind of fluttering around listening to everybody else. And in that case, you're not truly listening to yourself. Yes, you're having a lot of experiences. You're going out and doing a lot of different things, but you might be missing that aspect of listening to yourself. On the other side of that, you have people who don't listen at all, and they're very one-tracked, very focused, blinders on, and this is the unfortunate reality for a lot of people, and those people are typically biased in some way. Racism, ageism, sexism, classism, all of those things are born out of people who put on their blinders and this is the only way to do it. So that's what I said. That's why I said at the beginning, most of us are going to fluctuate between different places. We're kind of, sometimes we do listen to other people and sometimes we don't. I have some friends, when they tell me, oh, this is a good restaurant, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And then I have other friends who they're like, this is a good restaurant. I'm like, oh, we have to go to this restaurant. Because it just kind of depends on the person that you're talking to. But you also have to think about, when you're making those choices, are you having a bias in that? What is that based off of? With that specifically, you go to someone's house and you eat with them, and you go to restaurants that they like, and you're like, these people are into dollar scoop ho-ho and frozen chicken. And that's great. If that's the food that you want to eat, awesome for you. No, you should eat way more healthy than that. way healthier than that. There's way better choices out there. But I have friends who are chefs, and when they say something is good, I'm like, okay, I bet it's delicious. We gotta go to that restaurant. And so, it's not based off of like a bias. Like all people who live in this neighborhood go to these restaurants that are gross. Uh, so I'm sorry, that was just a really funny example. I was trying to think of something that was really generic. So the restaurant thing is kind of funny. Anyways, so as you think about, do you take recommendations from others? Keep in mind that this isn't going to be I mean, it could be. You could say, yes, I always take everybody's recommendations. I'm constantly listening to what other people say. And then why? Are you just that open to new experiences and you really enjoy that? I mean, I have met people who live a good portion of their life just doing that, like floating from one experience to another and really just experiencing whatever someone has to put on their plate. And they enjoy that lifestyle and they are fulfilled by that and they really enjoy it. And that's awesome. I'm like, that is amazing. I could never float around like that. Like, I need more roots than that. And that just is one of those things, like all people are different. So you're going to find yourself on this word. You're going to find yourself on this, it's not a scale. I guess it's kind of a scale. On this plane of listening to others people's recommendations and hearing what other people have to say and really taking their opinions into value and not. And where you kind of fit on that. And yes, there is a wrong answer. The only wrong answer is if you say, well, I don't listen to them because they're a woman or they're black or they're gay or there's some description here. That's silly. And you need to grow up and you need to really think about why you're making that choice. Because if you discredit someone based off of a life choice like that, just put yourself in another perspective and someone says, well, I can't listen to you because you're white. Or whatever. I guess that's me being biased against other white people. Assuming that it's always a white person with that bias. It's not. Everybody can have, any person can have a bias, because what that is that you've put on this blinder and you've decided that your way is the only way to do something. And that is a common immature thought that we all have. Kids get to certain ages and they're like, oh, I've mastered my environment and this is the way that we do it and I know it. And then they realize that their world is much bigger. It's like at about 4, kids have like mastered their world and they're like, I know everything. And then they start school and their world gets way bigger. And they're like, oh, okay, wait, I don't know everything. Let me learn some more. And then about 8, 9, maybe 7, depending on the kid, but right around there in that adolescent age, they're like, I've mastered my environment and I know everything. And, sometimes you want to look at that 8-year-old or 9-year-old and you're like, your world is still so small. Like, you have no idea what life is like and you are just dead fast to that. And the same thing when you get to being a teenager. You're like, I've mastered my world. And then you become an adult and you're like, ah. So along that point, if you really put on those blinders, you're like, I've mastered my world. This is the only way to do things. There's only one way, and it is this way. You are stuck in this mindset that is not going to allow for growth. It is not going to allow for new experiences. It's really going to limit your experiences in life. And that's a sad existence to be in itself. And that closed-mindedness is like a weight that drags you down and just keeps you at the bottom. So I guess there is one wrong answer to this. if you are so biased and dead set that you can't listen to someone's opinion because of, like I said, something like race, or if you're so dead set on, oh, it has to be, I was just about to use a really bad example. We're not going to use that. I can only eat normal syrup on my waffles, and anybody else who eats anything else, they're just all horrible people, and I can't even listen to them. That's wrong. And you need to step back out of yourself and you need to be like, wow, okay, obviously there is more than one way to do things. There's always more than one way. Another not very good example of saying just, I'm sorry, we're having some inappropriate feedback going on in the back of my head right now, but there's always more than one way to do something. And if you are so closed off that you can't see the other things, that is, step back, think about that, and let that be your goal for the rest of this introspective journey, is to be able to step back and realize that there are many, many different ways to get to the end. There are many ways to peel a potato. Sorry, the cat thing just keeps coming back into my brain. And it's just, one of those sayings that could go. But other than that, there is no wrong place on this. If you are leaning towards that on the scale, maybe step back and think like, okay, maybe I need to open up my perspective and try to see things from a different light. And realize that it is okay to have a different opinion. It's okay for someone to make a different choice. It's okay that we can do things in a different way and still get to the end and still succeed. And then taking in those experiences from other people brings value to your plate, because you can then make a wiser, more informed decision, choice, experience, all of those great things. So, I didn't think this video was going to go like that. It's always funny when I start a video because I have all kinds of notes written down. See, I got 2 pages of notes written down. I got bullet points, things to talk about. And I guess we had to talk about racism and bias and closed-mindedness. One of the things when you're reflecting on this is how open are you and your level of openness. So I encourage everyone to go out and see something from a different perspective. A great example coming from a European, Celtic, Scottish start to my practice. That's where I started reading mythology. That's where I started learning and then kind of reaching out. I always saw the moon as a woman. The moon's energy is feminine, the divine feminine. It is this beautiful blooming into pregnancy and full, and then having that energy be blossomed, and the moon getting back to small again, and then starting over in the darkness of the womb. This really dark to light, beautiful, feminine energy. In my research of the moon and the mythology of cultures all around the world, is about 50-50. There is not I really had this bias when I started doing this research. The moon is going to be 80% feminine mythology, so it makes it okay to refer to the moon throughout this whole book as a feminine energy. And then after I did all of the research, and even with my initial bias, I was began to get surprised. Wow, there's a lot of masculine moons. A lot of, and I just kept going through, and I was wow, in the non-European Western world, even in some of the Western European mythology, it's still masculine. Scandinavian, it's masculine, and the feminine is the sun. But, so, there's just, it was an interesting revelation to see that, it's not just a feminine energy. And now, as I edit through the rest of the book, I am changing that into a non-gender specific energy. Because even though still in my private practice, I'll probably always refer to the moon as a feminine energy and the sun as a masculine energy, I can also recognize that all over the world, the moon is a masculine energy. And some of the myths I really like the one where the goddesses chop off his lazy belly. Um, but so, and that's okay too, because everyone is going to come to this energy, this divine, the divine energy, the universal energy, the omnipotent powers, the powers that be, in whatever way is most comfortable for them, because that's what's important. In order for you to connect with something, you have to be able to see it in a perspective that's important for you. But as you're learning about this energy and you're learning about the world and you're learning about life and experiencing it, it's important to be able to recognize that all experiences have values, that each person brings something beautiful to the table, whether it's what you want or what you think is right or how you would do it, versus how they're doing it. It doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be this one way. And each person coming to the table, bringing that different perspective, helps to build a beautiful community, helps to build a team that works, helps to build a village, a community that is productive and healthy and growing and building and developing. The more we share and the more, I love the world of the internet, because as a grown-up, when I want to learn about West African religion and mythology, I can look it up online. I don't have to go to the library and spend hours trying to figure out where to get this information and the right book and the correct author. Now I can just look it up. Now I met someone who lives in West Africa, and I can talk to them on the internet, and I can say, hey, I was researching the god of iron, and some of this mythology that I'm reading isn't lining up. Can you tell me more about it? And I got amazing information. Just so much of someone who practices this religion every day, and this is what they do, and they are, and they give me information that I could then see why it wasn't like all over the world, and why there were gaps in the story, because they have very specific traditions that are local, that are maybe not necessarily culturally accepted around the world. It's not anything horrible like killing babies or anything like that. But they do believe in possession, I guess would be a word for it. They do believe in taking on the energy of the divine and some interesting whatever. So, but being able to have that information come in like that is amazing, and it helps me to build a stronger understanding, a better practice, better way to share information with other people. It makes me a better teacher, because when someone comes to me and they're like, well, I'm having these meditations and I'm seeing this thing, and I'm like, oh, that's Cerberus, or that's whatever, some divine energy from Hawaii. Just trying to think something different. So as you interact with the world, it is important to take other people's information and experiences and all of that stuff. So where do you sit on the spectrum? And how does that help you to experience life or hinder you? And do you need to make changes in that? And vice versa. If you just always take other people's opinions and you never really focus on yourself, and you have like this missing piece, maybe that's part of that missing piece. You have to be able to make those choices for yourself. It doesn't mean you just do what everybody says. So there's like a spectrum of amazingness that we can all sit at in order to, like I said, build an amazing community where we are all healthy and happy and productive and coming together instead of bombing each other like childish people. It's ridiculous. Just everybody. Anyways. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day. This video got much longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's important to talk about these things, because if we don't talk about them, then they continue, and we don't want that. We don't want these bad cycles of hate and greed and lust and corruption and all of these bad things that really interfere with our growth as individuals and as a society and as a global energy. And we want this as whole to ascend. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day. I hope that you are enjoying yourself. As I got snow, that's why I'm still inside. There's so much snow, and it's only like literally 10 degrees outside. This morning it was -3 when I took the kids to school. Brr! I hope that you're warm and toasty and enjoying the end of your November. And I am excited to be getting closer to the winter solstice when we can come out and like make goals and be the person that we want to be. So I hope that each day you're one step closer to that. And as always, share your experiences. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I hope that you have a very blessed day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to y'all soon.